Hey everybody, I'm back with another video. I'm going to show you today how to glaze your bowls. I know you've been really excited to get these back and you're hoping to take them home as soon as possible. So I am going to limit your choices of glaze and ask that you choose one color to do your entire bowl. This is going to save time. It's going to make it easier for you to glaze your bowl and to do it well, because that's more important than using lots of different colors. The glazes I ordered for you are really exciting. If you can see, if my lovely cameraman can kind of pan down, we have about 15 or 16 different colors of glaze that all have crystals in them. These colors are all going to be multicolor to begin with, meaning that you don't have to add these dots into it. They already have them in it. So you're going to look at the picture on the bottle of glaze, and when you see a picture that you like, that's the one you're going to pick. And you'll notice that in these glazes there's actually chunks of other colors that are in there. You'll need to shake these up really well, stir them up with your brush, and then when you paint this on your bowl, these little crystals in the kiln are going to basically melt and be these colorful dots you see in the image on the sticker. So you're going to pick one color, and that is the color you'll do your entire bowl. So I'm choosing, for my example, I'm choosing this color here called Ultramarine Jewel. And what I'll do is I'll take the lid off. You can see that this stuff is really, it's kind of thick and soupy. And first thing I'm going to do is take my paintbrush and I am just going to dip it down in and I'm going to stir it up, because those crystals that make all these awesome colors are at the bottom, so we want to make sure that that's getting all over it. Don't worry about getting glaze on your paintbrush. That's not a big deal. You will wash your paintbrush at the end of class. Okay, so that is ready. Notice I have newspaper underneath my workspace. I have my apron on so I keep myself clean. And then I have my bowl with my name on it, okay? Remember, it was your responsibility to carve your name and your class number on your bowl, so hope you did that. Okay, now, when you're glazing, you have to leave the bottom of your bowl empty, blank. This part here, you cannot paint. Okay, you can see on my example that I did not paint the bottom center of my bowl here, or on this example here. If by chance you paint the bottom of your bowl, you have to wash that part off using a sponge. You have to get all of the color off. Here's why. When these bowls go into the kiln, we have to balance them on these pieces of kiln furniture. Here is our box of kiln furniture. They do come in all different sizes, but the average size is this big. So that means that the empty space on your bowl has to be this big, because inside the kiln, when we set these on the kiln surface like this, and cameraman, if you can get down low and show how this stands up on there, this prevents the glaze from touching the kiln. If the glaze touches the kiln or this piece of kiln furniture, when it gets hot, it melts onto the surface. So that means that you would basically be gluing your bowl to the kiln furniture if you glaze the bottom of the bowl and then I put this on here. And without the kiln furniture, if I just set a fully glazed bowl into the kiln, it would get permanently stuck to the kiln. And that wouldn't be good for you or for me. So you have to leave the bottom of your bowl clean. So I'm going to recommend that you paint the bottom first. This is great because now you're not going to be painting over your name. So you take your paintbrush, you're just going to make a big old circle with your brush, leaving that empty center like this. Okay, see how big that is? And I know that I can find a piece of kiln furniture that can fit there. It's going to be perfect. All right, now I'm just going to continue to paint this glaze on. You know, you can hold the bottle however you need to really get this on. You've got to lay it on thick. In total, you're going to put on 3 coats of glaze. And I'm not just making this number up. If you read the directions on the bottle of the glaze itself, it tells you that you need 3 coats. It says apply 3 coats of glaze. So that means I have to paint the whole thing once, that's 1 coat. Then I have to paint the whole thing again, that's 2 coats, and then a 3rd time, the entire thing. This takes a lot of glaze. You've also got to make sure you're filling in all the holes. Am I getting all the holes? Sometimes you have to take your paintbrush and you have to push it in the holes like this. You have to go sideways. And you have to turn your bowl as you go. You got to see all sides of it. Because if you don't, you're going to have these big, ugly white spots showing through, and those spots will not get shiny like the rest of your bowl will. Now, let's talk about how glazes change color. So this is kind of confusing. The color that you see inside the jar, like this liquid color here, this is actually not the color the glaze will appear like when it's finished being fired. What it's going to look like is this. The color on the sticker. So this glaze that I chose, I've used this before and I really like it because it has this sparkly gold effect because there's pieces of iron. And again, I'm just going to read the back under the directions. You know, feel free to read this too. It tells you exactly what it's going to look like. It says ultramarine jewel is an iron brown gloss glaze with vibrant blue, green, and sparkling iron crystals. That's exciting to me. So if you're not sure what your glaze is going to look like, actually read what it says on the bottle and you can see for yourself. All right, so I think my first coat is done. I'm gonna flip over my bowl as soon as I feel like it's dry enough that I can touch it, and then I'm gonna do the inside. And then that'll be the end of my first coat. And again, I need 3 total, so that means 2 more. Okay, let me just show you how flipping it works. This is easy. Since you're just using 1 color, if you get a little bit on your fingers, it's not a big deal. This stuff will wash out with water and soap. You know, I would use soap. There's chemicals in here. But it's not a big deal if you get it on your fingers. Okay, and you can see how I'm putting it on thick to get it inside the bowl as well. I'm just going to lay this on really thick so you can see 1 full coat. Now today when you're working, when you're waiting for your first coat to dry or for your second coat to dry, you know, you can go ahead and talk to your neighbor. It's not going to take long. You'll see that the glaze actually sinks into the pores of the clay. Clay by itself is porous. That means that there's little tiny holes in it, like a sponge. So all this moisture from the glaze is actually going into those holes and is going to make your bowl waterproof. That's why using glaze is so important. An unglazed bowl is not waterproof. Oh, Mr. Teal just told me I missed a spot. See, this is why it's so important to turn your bowl. I couldn't see that I had this big white spot there. Thanks, Mr. Teal. He's the cameraman. I know you guys always ask. All right, so now my first coat is done. And you can see that it's already starting to dry.